What's out there? What creates the shadows in the corners or the creatures of the dark? Who are those on the other side? What do they have to say? This is the Gateway Podcast. This is not your normal style of paranormal talk radio. Brought to you live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM New Orleans.
When they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday night edition of Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. Hello, Miss Heidi. Good to see you, and I'm sorry about your phone dying down tonight. Oh, much love to you from Boulder. Good to see you. Joe Fox, great to see you too, buddy. Stick around. I got a great guest coming on. Want to thank UPRN Talk Radio 105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans. For allowing me to give you an hour tonight, Tuesday nights, 8:10 to 9:10, and also on Sunday nights, 8:10 to 9:10 p.m.s. And I don't know, what a really crazy day. I don't know, has anybody seen the shift in the air? I was wondering. It's like, Holly, good to see you, sweetie. I mean, the shift is weird. It's like it's just weird. I just get this weird feeling out there that something is not just right. I don't know. Maybe a lot of good things, maybe not a lot of good things. Who knows what's going on? But before I introduce my guest tonight, remember, right after my show tonight at 9:10 p.m. Eastern, my friend C.L. Thomas, she will be having her show, the Gateway Podcast, right after me. So if you're not busy or not doing anything after my show, please stick around and listen to our show, because she has an awesome guest tonight. She's a great person, and just tune into our show. Give her a lot of love. Heidi says, I have felt a definite shift even in the skies. Yes. Joe Fox says there's word shift. You are right. Very uneasy feeling. It's an extremely uneasy feeling. But you know what? Here's the deal. We'll talk about that on another day, about tonight. I want to bring on my guest. So I met my guest tonight on the chat, which is here on UPRN Talk Radio on Saturday nights from 8:10 to 10:10 p.m. Eastern. Okay, it's me, Joe, Jay, and Michael, and every now and then Leah will pop on, and we just chat. We talk about what's going on, whatever's happening. It's not political. It's not UFO-ish. It's not UAP. We just talk. And Heidi listened to one time and is awesome. She loved it. A lot of people. Joe loved it. And Joe listens to CLs, and Heidi does too. So tonight, my guest is Tim Sudano from California. And he is a paranormal investigator. I got his bio here. Paranormal Insight, hosted by lead investigator Tim Sudano of the Seekers of California for Aerial Investigation, that is SCARI, explores the enigmatic depths of the paranormal. Prior to ghost hunting, Tim pursued a career in private investigation and later would work at NASA. That's pretty sweet. And did a short stint in the U.S. Air Force. Currently, he follows his passion as a filmmaker and has a few award-winning films under his belt. And I'm really looking forward to hearing about those. I don't know. It's great, man. It's great. I'm just really excited. So, without further ado, my friend, Tim Sudano.
Hello.
Hey, Tim, good to see you. How are
good
you?
to see you too. Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for coming on. Saturday night was great.
Yeah,
it was crazy. I pop into the room and there you are. And I'm like,
oh, right here. Just throw it right here. So,
who's really? What's wrong? You okay here, dude?
Oh no! I had to get a water thrown at me by someone else in the house.
Okay. All right, getting stuff thrown from the gallery to you. But listen, tell the world about yourself.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, as far as the paranormal stuff goes, I started this started Scary in 2011, and excuse me, there was the first case we ever took on was based on a legend. Now, everybody at this particular college campus, a junior college, I might add, that I was attending at the time, criminology. That's where I was boning up on criminology. I was still doing PI work then. And there was a legend about this theater. We have a theater there, big, nice, very classy theater that they do operas and ballets and as well as comedy shows and other things there. And this theater's opening night had this horrible story of tragic love and suicide attached to it. And but it was a legend. I mean, no one really confirmed anything. So I started digging. And digging. And digging. And I was coming up with nothing. There was no news articles from the day the thing opened. I had the opening night date, but nothing went. Oh, yes, Heidi has watched my show. Hi, Heidi. So newspapers had nothing. Archives had nothing. Sheriffs and police reports had nothing on this legend. So I'm thinking, okay, good first case. The place has some history anyway. It's built on an old ranch land that was later donated to the college to build it up and so on and so forth. So I figured maybe we'll get a disembodied voice somewhere. But we pursued that line of inquiry into this, what was a legend, a legend of a suicide. And they, we have my buddy Henry came on board with me, and he's a scientist. I mean, empirical evidence only. You need that guy on your team to really step out and say, no, it's this, it's got to be this, that, the other thing. I mean, you need that challenge to the person who's more. I mean, I like my empirical evidence as well, but I do want to believe I'm the Mulder of the group. And we also have these two what I call junior psychics on the team, and they had abilities, but they weren't quite fully expressed, and they were a little skittish. But about to wrap up. We're doing an EVP session. We have 2 cameras. One is in my hands. One is in someone else's hand. I think one of the other psychics had the second camera, and the other psychic had the voice recorder. And we're just, Henry's taking his thermal readings. He got this new thermal gun. He loved it. So he's taking all these thermal readings. And the psychic asked the question, "We've heard your story. We've been trying to talk to you all night. Can you tell us where you are?" Live, we get nothing. On playback, mind you, I have 2 cameras pointed at her.
Right.
And she has a voice recorder. Only on the voice recorder do we get the reply, "I'm right next to you, Farah." Said her name.
Oh, wow.
We never gave our names. That was a rule on my. That is still a rule on my team. We do not use our real names. Right next to you, Farah, and we lost our minds. That was the golden. That was it. That was awesome. And we didn't really confirm anything one way or another with regard to the suicide, but we were addressing that individual in the EVP session. So perhaps we did get a response and maybe prove the legend to be fact, and maybe they covered it up. I mean, because that's a hell of an opening for a theater. It's like, yeah, someone died on an opening night.
Yeah,
you don't want that.
That's pretty intriguing there.
Yeah,
but this was. Did you do any investigations before that, or
that was our first one?
Your very first one.
Very first one.
So what got you into that investigation? Got you into forming your group, or did you form the group before that?
We formed the group just before. I had an idea of what I wanted to do because I'd done all the research on my own, and leading up to that case, and then I asked Henry to join me, and he says, "Yeah, it sounds fun. Let's do it."
Okay.
And then I put an ad out on Craigslist back when Craigslist was reputable.
Right.
I mean, I guess it still is, but we had a response from these 2 girls that worked together anyway in the whole psychic field thing, but they were beginners. They were just starting to understand their gifts. And I figured, well, okay, they can cut our teeth on this case at least, and we could probably bring them along for a few other things if they're available.
Mm-hmm.
So they that's kind of how the team was formed. We that was it. That was our first case. And we all got together the next day, did the evidence review, and we heard the voice, and we all freaked out. We dined on that forever. It was great. We loved it.
I bet you were doing the Irish jig.
Yeah.
When
Full on.
When you saw that. Oh, my brother, Patrick Kelly. That's my brother. And he says, "You 2 look like brothers." Yeah. Kind of do. Thanks, brother.
Kind of, yeah.
That.
He's got more hair than I do.
But so after that investigation, how many have you done ever since? Do you do private residences, or do you go to urban legend places? What is what you like to do? What to help people with it, or just getting answers for yourself?
No, we're out to validate and help if we can. One of the key things we were missing for a long time was a cleaner, and our 2 young junior psychics could not do that kind of work. They were just too inexperienced. They didn't have the know-how. I don't have the know-how, and Henry certainly didn't have the know-how, being the scientific guy. So mostly we were just there to validate, and if we could figure out a way to maybe alter the energy a little bit, we could do that. We do that. That happened on one of our more, I guess, infamous cases in the Scary Files. Not infamous, but I mean, it was a humdinger. I'll tell you, to use an old word, but it was surprisingly. It was a classic poltergeist, really haunting. Lots of object manipulation. Also full-bodied apparition. It literally had everything, and it was just in this tiny little duplex. But it was, well, it wasn't that tiny, but nonetheless, the these people had a horrible time. They've been living with it for years, and had gotten to ramped up to such a point that their teenage daughter literally moved out of her room and into the garage where there was no activity because she was
Right.
being harangued so horribly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just awful for them. So we go in there and we do our usual thing. We caught, and I'm not a believer in orbs up until this happened to me. We had an orb show up that passed through me twice, once through my lower torso and once through my arm.
Oh, wow.
And we caught that on tape. And
Did you actually feel it going through you?
Yes, I did. I itched. You go, gosh, what's going on? That's weird. Because
Okay.
I got these very specific tingly points when it happened on my body, where it interacted with my body. So, and
Right.
on playback, we saw it. It's like, oh, that's why you itch. You had an orb flying through you. And then we also caught at least the sound of, but I physically saw what I call, and so did the lady of the house who lived there, visually saw what I call the demon monkey. And everybody in the house, however, heard it gallop down the hall. You know, monkeys kind of run, or chimps kind
Yeah.
of run in like a diagonal to kind of lead with their shoulder. That's exactly what I saw, but this thing was kind of super hunched over, almost like it didn't have a head, and its skin was elephantine. It was,
Oh, wow.
it was horrible, no fur on it, and this thing goes brr, 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 down the hall. And I had my camera trained on it. That's the
Right.
thing. But it did not show up on camera.
No.
Oh, I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed.
Many a times that has happened to me. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. That wouldn't be the first time for me either, but I was ticked.
Yeah.
It's like, darn it.
Oh.
Greatest piece of evidence in the world, and it doesn't show up on camera. So, exactly, Heidi, except for the monkey thing. But it was still intriguing. It was freaky, but at the same time, we're getting all this proof. So that's kind of one of the goals of any paranormal investigators, to get proof of this alternate space, whatever it is, the afterlife,
Another
what have you.
dimension.
Exactly.
Another dimension. Yeah.
Later that night, we would see and capture. I'm sorry, capture only. We didn't see it at the time. A full-bodied apparition that stepped out of a full-length mirror. It stepped out of the full-length mirror, interacted really horribly with one of our psychics, who literally just sank into this horrible, deep, crying depression as she was relaying answers from this entity. And then after 10 minutes, it steps backwards through the mirror. It disappears.
Well, I believe that because
but-
I believe. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to
You
say, oh, I'm here. Can you hear me okay? But I was going to say that there was a moment where there was this piece of decor that was running down the hallway into the kitchen, where there was also a disturbance that night. This dog dish, big one, 25-pound dog dish with the feeder bottles of water and food, moved on its own into the middle of the kitchen. That was good times. But there was this line of these paper lanterns, and I'd only seen them ever at one place. That was back when it was around in my area, Bombay. But it's a 5-point star held upright, but within this 5-point star are cutouts of other stars at various angles, also 5 points. But there were 3 or 4 or 5 of them, maybe 5 of them, running down the hallway into the kitchen. That was this pathway of all this weird activity. And I'm realizing as we're leaving the house, I said, you know what I want you to do? Take down all the paper lanterns and stow them somewhere. Don't burn them. Just stow them, fold them up, throw them, just put them away and forget about them. And the reason I said that was I had this pagan-esque kind of visual, ritual, not ritual, but iconography. Yet there were these little brass crosses in every single room of the house. So they were at least Catholic, if not or Christian. And that's a feud of energies right there. So my thought was, okay, take the bad one out. Not that paganism is bad, but I mean, in this case, it wasn't doing too much good for this family.
Right.
So, and they took their stars down. They put them away in the attic, and I said, leave it alone. Don't burn them. Just leave them alone. Just forget about them.
Mm-hmm.
And 2-3 days later, I check in with them because we're still putting together the evidence to review with them. And I say, how are things going over there? Oh my God, it's so much better.
Right.
It's so much better over here. And not 2 days later, we joined them, and we reviewed what evidence we did find. And it was because when we first got there, that the night of the investigation was stuffy and horrible. You hit that wall, of something is off in this space. But when we walked in this time, everything was pleasant and light. And the daughter moved back into her bedroom. She felt better all of a sudden about the house. Right. So I guess this taking the stars thing down did the trick. Which is cool.
Oh, hell yeah, it's cool. But for me, after we would do an investigation, and like you just said, when you go into a house, the very first time you step in a house, it's dark, it's gloomy, the energy is like really, really crappy. It's not a good feeling. But at the end of the investigation, when I would clear the house, and come out of my meditation clearing, you could tell how nice and bright the rooms are when it comes to the light, and the air is a lot lighter. It's just a little bit more happiness in the houses, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Here on the East Coast, there is a lot. The East Coast is really, really haunted. You know what I mean? I mean, there are so many up. Yes, there's. I mean, Pennsylvania itself is like extremely haunted. Anywhere you go is extremely haunted. But I'd like to know. Your friend, is his name Henry, the scientific dude? Do you ever duke it out with him? Over a piece of evidence?
Yes, not duke it out per se, but and Heidi, you are correct. There were many layers of bad energies there. There was all kinds of things happening in that house. But on that same case, as we were going to take a break and let the cameras roll and see what happens when there was nobody there. The only exception was Lady House's husband, who had to go to work. So we vacated. We were about to vacate the house, go get a late supper at Denny's or whatever. Name drop. And
that's all right.
Free advertising. Free advertising.
Yes.
So we're about to step out, and the husband bursts out of the back room as groggy as he can be. He stumbles out, and his phone is going off. And it's this creepy, and it's a like later model flip phone, so it's kind of digital. It's on the edge of being a smartphone. We weren't quite there with phones yet, and I'm making this about like smartphones were just coming out, or they were about to just come out. So this is 2012, give or take, and he comes stumbling out and just playing this demented like a melting music box, bang, burn, 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 right? Just discordant tones coming off this thing, and it's this alarm set for this arbitrary time at like something like 1 or 2:13 in the morning. So he and the wife says, "Oh my god, I forgot to tell you about the phone. This happens all the time," and she's freaking out. The husband's freaking out, though groggy as he is, and Henry says, well, okay, let me see it, and he opens it up, and he turns off the alarm, and he digs through the thing, and he's the tech guy too, on top of everything else, and he can't find the alarm. He says, did you set it arbitrarily on accident, maybe? He says, nope, this happens all the time, the husband says.
Oh, wow.
So, okay, so I'm going to set the alarm for like in a minute. and we'll see what the tone is. And maybe it's just something that happens.
Right.
And no, it's just present normal everyday alarm tone. Boom, bada, bing, bada, bing, bada, bing. Something kind of happy and jovial but loud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the alarm I wake up to every morning. I was like, oh, okay, great. So he stops the alarm and he's super smart about this stuff, even on a flip phone. And he digs through all these little sub menus and everything, and he finds it. He finds the music is there, but it's so arbitrarily placed that it's designed to be for some sort of conference call function that his phone isn't rigged for. Like you could buy into it type of deal, but so he finds it and he plays it as a sample, and yeah, sure enough, that's the tone. And he stops and he says, "Gosh, that's weird." And he hands the phone back to the husband. He says, "I don't think it'll happen again," but it goes off right then again. So the husband just automatically hands it back to Henry. Henry checks it, turns it off, says, "Do you have another alarm you can use?" He says, "Yeah, I can use the clock radio in the other room." I was like, "Okay, why did she use that?"
Use that one.
And takes out the battery.
I believe it.
Now, I'm not done. Almost there. It goes off again in Henry's hands. No battery. The battery's in his other hand, and it goes off again. Bang!
Wow. That's craziness.
He opens it up, and he turns it off. And he tries to power it up to see if there's a residual charge in there or something like that, because that was his original idea. He let loose. I said, must have a residual charge or something. No, he couldn't make it go. But as soon as he claps it shut again, it turns off.
I'll be damned.
Nothing.
That was cool. Thanks for sharing.
We went back and forth on that for weeks after that case. It's like, dude, residual charges don't last that long without a battery. I mean,
I bet. My friend River Rose came in, and hello, River. Matt Barron, good. Hey, my God, CL's in the house.
Hey,
yeah, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in. So Heidi is going to try and debunk that ASAP.
Yeah, if you can figure out how how old was that film? It was a few years old by the time we had it, and that happened in 2012, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, at least a 7 to 10-year-old phone, slightly more advanced than the old flip phone, but a flip phone nonetheless.
I believe, I know my phones, and I've gone through many phones, and I've been investigating for a very long time, and my phones do get possessed. Okay, they really do. My phone calls different people at like 3:00 in the morning, without me even dialing the phone. Oh yeah, absolutely. And
haunted butt dial kind of a deal.
Oh my God, it's crazy, man. I get calls back from people at 4:00 in the morning. Did you just try to call me? Who are you? And I'm like, no, I said that my phone is haunted and I was sleeping, blah, 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 blah. What's your favorite piece of equipment?
Oh, I don't have one. I've been wanting to get one for a long time. Is it an SRS or an SLS camera?
SL.
Is it SLS?
No, it's an SL. I know what
it's used to stick figures. It's the one that comes with the Nintendo. Yeah. Another free plug. You're welcome.
You see, CL says, "Oh my goodness, my last phone that finally died over the weekend did stuff like this too."
Oh yeah.
According to Heidi says, according to Google, I'm located on the East Coast often. Oh. Holy crap, Heidi! You should pop into Pennsylvania, man. Who knows where you're at on the East Coast? Ollie says my friend's phone always calls me, and I'm telling you, it's crazy. But listen, we're coming up on the first half of the show. We're gonna take a little 70-second break, and I'm gonna play a couple of intros from other shows that are on this program. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more. Okay. And on that note,
sounds good.
Let's take our 70-second break.
What's out there? What creates the shadows in the corners or the creatures of the dark? Who are those on the other side? What do they have to say? This is the Gateway Podcast. This is not your normal style of paranormal talk radio. Brought to you live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM New Orleans.
Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestro, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the second part of Into the Night with me, Sean Kelly, on UPRN Talk Radio, 107.7 New Orleans, 105.3 Mississippi. There we go. We got that right. I don't know. I get that mixed up. I either go either way, but that's okay. Joe don't care. Hey Liz, good to see you. Thanks for coming in tonight, Liz. And don't forget, everybody, right after my show tonight at 9:10 p.m. Eastern, my buddy CL, CL Thomas, who is in the room now, is going to have her show. Yes, and so after my show, just pop on over to her show and, give her some love, because she needs it. We all need love. We all definitely need love. So back for the second part, my guest, Tim Sudano. He is a paranormal investigator. And what's the name of your group, sir? I forget.
Scary, the Seekers of California for Ethereal Research and Investigation.
Can you tell me what ethereal means?
3 times fast.
No, I can't.
Ethereal. It's the kind of I borrowed the Latin spelling. Otherwise, it would have been scary. So I put the A in front of the E. But ethereal, the spooky, the ethereal, the things that are murky at best, it refers to things that are misty or cloudy, and
okay,
at least one of those definitions. So things just beyond
that was an interesting name. Now I am going into your bio here. So you want to talk about your little career in private investigation, being a private investigator?
Sure.
Have you ever taken your skills from being a private investigator into paranormal investigating?
My training in PI work actually goes pretty well hand in hand as an investigator, because you still have to ask the same questions: who, what, where, when, why, how, and
right.
What's the motive? What's this? What's ever? And, going from dealing with everyday living people to our dead friends, we'll say,
okay.
You kind of delve into parapsychology a little bit with
right.
these questions, and especially when you're talking to your clients. It's like, okay, who passed here? That type of thing. Did
right.
people pass here? How old's the house? I mean, I have a list of at least 30 questions I go through every time I do a case. So.
Okay. Now, what's more easier? Seriously, this is a serious question. What's easier?
Okay.
Investigating people or investigating spirits?
I don't get as many answers as I like, but investigating spirits.
Okay.
Yeah. because real people get real messy really quick.
Oh, I could not. I think private investigating is kind of cool to do, but you know what? I I would rather have a lot of insurance put on me, doing that, because God only knows. I can just see it now. Someone pulling a gun on my ass or something like that. That wouldn't be
There
really
was a
cool.
danger. Yeah, there was a danger of that doing surveillance and stuff like that. It
Oh, I
became
bet it
more and more
was.
of a problem as the years wore on, and I got out
Right.
at a really good time because it was starting to happen more and more and more to me, not to me, but to my fellow investigators out there. So,
Hmm. Well, you know what? It gets with all the damn. Oh, Heidi says she'd rather deal with spirits too. Good girl. But
yeah,
you
it's
know
pretty
what?
smart.
Um, if you think about it, all the animosity between the different paranormal groups out there now, even to this day. I mean, I
Yeah.
started back in 2006. I formed PPS, and it was terrible, man. It was like who could get the best evidence, who could do this better, who could do that better, become TAP's family member.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had to
I
become
remember
I
that
never,
run.
yeah, you know what? No, 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 no. My name is Sean Kelly, and I do investigate, and I believe in what I want to believe.
Right.
Um, but orbs do exist,
They did. Well, yeah, I was convinced of
Yes,
that
they do. Hmm.
the hard way. Yeah.
So it says here your passion is filmmaking. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of films do you do?
I do narrative stuff typically, fiction. My go tos are horror and sci-fi. I tend to add a little bit of tongue-in-cheek comedy to some of them. I'm kind of a corny guy anyway, as you probably figured out by now.
No,
But
not at
yeah, but
all.
that's in fact we
No.
just had we just won an award for our last film. So
Oh, really? What was it about?
it's called Blaney Tucker's Ghost. It's not out to the public yet. We're still in festival mode, so we're going to a couple more festivals. It should be out end of March, and Heidi's had a similar experience to me. That's cool. And hey
Yeah.
to Michelle. I didn't say that. I meant to say that earlier. But
Yeah. Oh,
Blaney
yeah. There
Tucker's
she is.
Ghost. Yeah, I see her.
Uh,
Uh, but Blaney Tucker's Ghost revolves around a paranormal investigator, and
okay.
she is out doing a particular. She goes to her favorite graveyard when she has nothing else to do. Like she doesn't have a client or anything, so she goes to her favorite graveyard to pick up on something, and she discusses how she picked up orbs before and a phantom crying woman, and she's about to go into something else, and she stops,
Hmm.
and basically gave her character my one-man band rig, which is basically a modified tack vest. I have a camera on a pole that looks back at me, and I have a camera on my shoulder. Well, I gave her that rig as, to shoot the thing with.
Right. Right.
And she stops, and we see her point of view, and there's this ghost of this young woman who just kind of ducks behind this gravestone. She goes charging 3 rows into this graveyard, checks behind the thing, no one's there. And she thinks, oh
Hmm.
God, I have a voice recorder. She has this little voice recorder on top of the camera. She activates it. She asks a question: who is the person here? Who did I just see? She plays it back live, or quasi live, and she gets a response. And it is finding out what this ghost says. She figures out this ghost says Blaney Tucker, and that kind of launches her into the
Okay.
rest of the story, finding out who Blaney Tucker is, why is Blaney Tucker talking to her, what's going on with Blaney Tucker, and she gets embroiled in this cold case of a serial killer. There was a serial killer way back in like 20 years earlier, not way back, but 20 years earlier, and one of the victims never showed up, and that victim was Blaney Tucker. And
Oh,
so,
wow, man. That's cool.
so
I have a cousin. I have a cousin um, who does his own films, but I'm not really allowed to talk about them, so I'm not, because no, they're up for some major awards. It is,
Oh,
and
good,
I have to
good,
be,
good.
yeah, major awards. And I'm proud of him. In the movie that's up for the major awards, he interviewed me for 3 hours one day, and it's
Oh,
about
awesome.
what I did as a paranormal investigator. And I, I I'm just so proud of that young man. I just am, and
Awesome.
I really cannot wait for it to do what it's hopefully get there where it needs to be. Um, but I would like to ask you, and I ask everybody this question that's a paranormal investigator, okay,
Sure.
that I have on my show. Do you believe paranormal?
It's interesting. You asked me the question and everything got garbled in my ear. Can I ask you to ask it again, please? They don't want
Yeah,
you to ask the question.
yeah, it's really weird because my internet's going bananas here. Um, and I didn't say nothing. Usually, Big Brother watches my show. He really does. He does. No lie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But
believe it. I believe it.
I'd like to know, what do you believe? What do you think, or do you believe in paranormal unity?
Oh, yeah. I absolutely. I have a
Okay.
theory called the paranormal M theory that unites a lot of weird paranormal stuff. Um,
Okay.
um, I talked about it on my show. I didn't know if it had another name or not, but I guess I'm the first one to think of it. But yeah, there's a lot of strange relationships throughout not only history but within the paranormal world itself, and there's a lot of connectivity, a lot of connectivity. So I find, yeah, I do believe in the unity,
Do
absolutely.
you kind of like duke it out with other paranormal groups out there in California?
Um, it's not that volatile out here.
No.
We've exchanged cases over time. It's like, hey, I can't
Come to
handle
the
this. They're
East
way out in
Coast.
like Hayward, so the Hayward group takes over and say, yeah, we got it. Hell, they're throwing me something in San Jose,
Oh
so it's
God,
not that
dude.
bad out here.
Man,
We're lucky.
it's hard to survive out here. Hey, Mr. Wojo, good to see you, brother. Um, I'll tell you what, out here on the East Coast, it's terrible, 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 terrible. I mean, it's like gangland, gang war, whatever, when it comes
Really.
um, to the paranormal investigating the different groups. But we got about 8 minutes left, and I was hoping if you wouldn't mind showing or sharing the biggest experience that you ever had with paranormal
Sure.
investigating.
Okay. Uh, we're gonna go back to that um, condo again
Okay.
that I was telling you about. Uh, the and I think I touched on it actually. It was the demon monkey. That one
Okay.
haunts me to this day. Um, because it should have shown up. Like there was no reason for it not to show up. It should have shown up. I had the camera pointed right at the hall. You could hear it on the camera, running down the hallway. Uh, Me and the lady of the house saw it with our own eyes,
Right.
and I was ticked that it didn't show up. But at the same time, I was flabbergasted. It's like, what happened? I mean, where is this thing in the spectrum that it doesn't show up on infrared? So I was flabbergasted. That's the one that still lives rent free in my brain, just trying to figure out
Right.
what
Right.
happened.
Right. Right. Um, and any other ones that you know of that can come to the monkey bit?
That can. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Um,
Joe's my boy.
yeah, there was a one of the last cases we had with Henry. Henry passed. I should mention
Okay.
that Henry passed in 2021.
My
Not from
condolences.
COVID. I should add from other issues. But he and I had brought our new psychic at the time, JJ Rose. You may have heard of her out there somewhere. And we brought her on for the first time, and the case we bring her in on is, we throw her into the deep end because this case has to deal with reformed saint worshipers.
Okay.
To the point that, well, I wouldn't even say worshiper, definitely victims of that occult thing. I mean, the darker places, and right out of the movies. This girl's story is right out of a film script somewhere, but we looked it up, we verified it. This did happen. So she is Midwest somewhere, and kind of a lonely girl, and this is the tail end of high school for her, or is it the middle? Maybe she was a sophomore, then I think of it. And another new girl shows up at her school and kind of befriends her right away. And they hang out, and then she says, "You should come hang out with me and my friends. We have a nice close-knit group, and I think you'd really get along there." Well, this close-knit group ended up being a bunch of Satanists, although they laid out a really, really affable, friendly front for this girl. And she bought it hook, line, and sinker. And one day they said, "Listen, we have a special club, and we want you to be a part of it. And there's a little tiny, it's silly, there's a little silly ritual," their words. "And, just do it real quick, and then you can be part of our group, like official, and it'd be really cool." And she's all for it. She, again, lonely girl. And she's all for it. She goes for it. And they dress her in this Halloween, she described as one of those white princess Halloween things you get during Halloween time. There's one of those costumes. And they take her down to the basement. And they say, "Okay, so we're going to tie you to this table. This is totally just ritual. It's not real. Don't worry about it." Okay. And they lay her on this table, and they tie her at the four corners, wrists and ankles. And she says, and we're gonna say a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It's all cool. Don't worry about the black robes. It's fun. It's fine. Nothing's gonna happen. Man, were they lying? They start saying things what she can only determine to be Latin, maybe Aramaic, but she said it was something like Latin. And they do a ritual over her, and their leader comes across with this, I think it's, and I forget the other name for it. I know it as a Chris knife. It's that wavy blade knife.
Yeah.
Well, it's high overhead. It's about to plunge this thing into her chest. And she's getting scared at this point. And she says, "I don't want to do this anymore. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay." It's all they keep saying to her. And bam, the door gets kicked into the basement. It's the sheriffs. They've been watching this group for a while, and they save her butt at the last minute. And the metal, the knife, when it falls, because the guy freaks, hands on the head and the whole thing. When she knew she escaped death narrowly when the blade hits the ground and it rings with metal. So,
that's crazy, man.
Anyway, so something was either supposed to be attached to her or take over her body. That's the guess. Because she brought something with her out here to my neck of the woods, and was
that's
terrorizing
crazy.
These kids. And
hey, Mr. Newsom, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's nuts. So
hey, we got to go ahead. We got about a minute left. Go ahead.
Groovy. Oh, we do have a minute left. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll let you
about
take
a minute.
over.
I'll let you go 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Where can people find you?
I can be found on Instagram at paranormal.insight, or I'm on YouTube at paranormal_insight, because continuity is stupid. No, I just couldn't make it work. But so those are the two places to find me. I'm also Scary is can be found under the Outreach tab on scruffytalks.com. It's Scary is an outreach program for my film business.
Okay.
And it's a rare outreach program too, so it seems a little silly, but it also gives us a little more credence in the debunking realm, because I get asked all the time. People send me sound files, people send me video files. Is this fake? And with AI being what it is, it's a little harder and harder every time to say, yeah, maybe. So
absolutely. Joe says I couldn't do what you guys do. No. Heidi says that as well. Thank you, Sean and Tim. Yeah, Joe. Now I'll get you out there, dude. It's not as bad as what you think.
Yeah.
But listen, we got to go, sir. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. Everybody, don't forget Miss C.L. Thomas. Her show comes on at 9:10, right after mine. So please, if you can, go over to her show and watch and listen, and and give her all the support in the world, man. We all need support in this world.
That's right.
Children, if you can, please go to your parents, give them a hug, tell them that you love them.
Yeah.
And parents, please go to your children. Go to your children and give them a hug and tell them that you love them. And if you have no parents and if you have no children, find somebody, give them a hug and tell them that you love them. Because those three words.
How's that?
Thank you. That sounds good. Sounds really good. And on that note, everybody, good night. See you Sunday night.